Yuri. Robot Yuri. Doomed Robot Yuri. Welcome to Signalis. This will be a little different from the usual. Most of the time I provide you with a brief rundown of the plot before jumping into how to survive the game. The problem is, the plot is insane. It's complex, convoluted, and at some points incomprehensible. I've played the whole game, read the wiki, and watched like 6 videos breaking down the plot, and even I still don't really know what happens at points. And of course, with most of these things, in order to survive this, you have to understand the plot. So you're going to learn about the robot lesbian game, and you're going to like it. Signalis takes place in a universe that is similar to our own, but with a few major differences. Humans are still the top dogs, but they evolved on a different planet called Veneta. It is the second planet from its sun. That's not the only different part of this solar system though. This system has 6 planets, all of which are inhabited. The solar system is split between 2 different countries, the Empire and the Nation. The Empire is an empire, that's all we know. The Nation is a totalitarian regime that rules over its citizens through censorship and repression. Already a bad time. Humanity is aided by replicas, which are something between a clone and a robot. Think synths from Fallout or replicants from Blade Runner. These are robot copies of a specific person that are implanted with that person's personality and some memories. Then they are mass-produced to work at and excel at whatever role the original person did. That's all the background, so what is the actual story? There's this girl named Arianne. When she was a kid, she lived with her family at a comm station at the edge of the nation. Living that far out meant she was able to live a life freer than most. Eventually her family moved to the town of Rotfront so she could have a more normal. This did not work out as expected, as Arianne hated Rotfront and the extreme repression felt there. She wanted nothing more than to escape and be free. Eventually when she grows up, it's time for her to be assigned to a job. Instead of going to the mines like she was assigned, she instead applies for the voluntary Penrose program, an interstellar exploration program where humans and replicas are launched out of the solar system to search for new habitable worlds. She's accepted and paired with a replica named Esther. They are launched into space and everything is good for Arianne. Being so far out and alone in space meant she could live her life how she pleased, and she spent most of her time doing things like painting and reading. For the first year or so of the mission, she did not interact with Esther at all, instead letting the replica silently do all of its jobs alone. Eventually though, the solitude got to Arianne, and she decided to start talking to the Esther unit. All replica units have certain triggers that cause them to remember repressed memories and divert from the programming. As it turns out, Esther units are best left alone, and not interacted with. If one does interact with one, the unit will quickly become attached to them. So Lonely Girl interacts with a robot that's supposed to be ignored, and they quickly become good friends. Then lovers. Hey, lesbian. They continue their mission for thousands of days, until eventually it was day 3000. Phase 3 of the mission, where they would get new orders. Their new orders were, if they hadn't found a new planet yet, they probably wouldn't, and they had no way to go home. It was recommended that the replica kill the human to spare them a slow, agonizing death in space before self-terminating themselves. Arianne decided not to go through with that, and so instead they keep living. Instead of dying at day 3000 like they're supposed to, they live for more than 600 days, which is quite a bit longer than they were supposed to. Arianne was kept alive by periodically cryogenically freezing her while Esther continued to do her best to keep the mission going while keeping Arianne alive. This would only work for so long, as supplies started to run out and the main reactor broke down, causing Arianne to get severe radiation sickness. Eventually, Esther would die from exposure, leaving Arianne alone in her pod, frozen and unable to die. This is where things get weird. Arianne actually has superpowers. There's this phenomenon in Signalis called Bioresonance. Only some people have it, and those that do have it have psychic and reality-bending abilities. The Empress who formed the Empire had bioresonant abilities, and bioresonant technology is the basis for replicas, artificial gravity, and most of the other sci-fi stuff in the setting. Arianne didn't know about her bioresonance before the trip, and even after the trip she doesn't really know much about it either. In her half-alive, half-dead state, her bioresonance has awoken, changing reality around her and affecting the places she dreams about, which happen to be the places from her past. This is the core problem in Signalis. Arianne is trapped in some strange other-dimensional space and her dreams are messing up reality in extreme ways. All the people in the area she dreams of get something similar to radiation sickness before being reduced to ash, while replicas are mutated into insane monsters. Also, there's weird flesh everywhere. My personal theory is that her mind is making everyone else go through radiation poisoning like her. Normal people are killed by it, while replicas are more resistant, so they mutate beyond recognition. The weird flesh itself might represent cancer and tumors. Whatever it is, it's bad, and it keeps killing everyone. I say it keeps killing everyone because there's also a time loop, because of course there is. This is why we can't have nice things. So, how do you deal with this? To be honest, your options are kind of limited. Arianne has godlike powers, and in one of the endings, she basically becomes a god. So fighting back through conventional means is borderline impossible. Despite having access to advanced future medicine and tech, the people of Rotfront all succumb to the disease in very short order. And this is with the benefit that some of the replicas know they're in a time loop and are trying to take proactive measures to stop the same thing from happening again. Even with advanced technology and a Groundhog Day scenario, they cannot stop the disease from killing everyone. You might think you could beat her through using bioresonance back at her, but I don't really think that's an option. She's incredibly strong. Most bioresonant phenomenon is seemingly mild, such as remote viewing or the poly effect. To straight up change reality on a massive scale is not normal. In one of the affected facilities, there is an experimental replica named Falk. Falk is a Falker type unit. Falker units have experimental bioresonant technology and have godlike powers in their own right. When you're fighting Falk at the end of the game, she's able to teleport and change reality around you as you fight. She's immensely strong, and she still got overpowered by Arianne, and Arianne does not even know how to use her powers. All of it is subconscious as she suffers. Falk, the strongest of the bioresonant replicas, could not beat a girl who didn't even know she was fighting someone. Simply put, Arianne is beyond any reasonable means of fighting or beating. It'd be like a normal psyker trying to take on the God Emperor of Mankind in Warhammer. It just ain't gonna happen. An interesting thing I noticed is that she is the only character in the game with white hair, besides one other person, the Grand Empress. A being so powerful she united all of humanity and spread them across the planets, and maybe made all the planets habitable? That part's unclear. Either way, it seems if you're a girl with white hair, you are just immensely strong. With all that in mind, I think the best way to stop Signalis and its consequences is to take preventative measures. This isn't a disease you can cure, so you better not catch it in the first place. The single most important measure being, stop it with the Penrose program. It's a dumb program which does nothing but waste lives and resources. Due to advanced tech and bioresonance, people can live on most planets in the Signalis universe. At least that's what I'm guessing based on the fact that all 6 planets in the Signalis solar system are inhabited. The Penrose program sends out ships with a crew of 1 person and 1 replica to find new planets to settle. The people on board are not told this, but the trip is intended to be one way. Either you find a planet and settle down on it, or you die in space from starvation or exposure. As it turns out, there's a much easier way to handle this than sending out a bunch of big exploration vessels and wasting human lives. You ready? Use a telescope, or send a probe. The Penrose program is described as sending ships out beyond the Oort cloud. The Oort cloud is where most of the long-term comets and other random stuff are stored in the solar system. It's essentially a blob of free-floating objects around the sun. There is nothing of note out there, and the nation knows this because they are sending the ships well beyond it. So the Penrose program involves going into interstellar space to find planets. This is what makes the plan baffling to me. Why not send probes? Why are you wasting resources to build a ship with people in it when a probe could be launched much cheaper and much faster? In addition, the Penrose program is doomed to fail if they are not launching it at select targets. What I mean by this is that they should be going to other stars. No solar system planets will exist beyond the Oort cloud, and the chances of finding a rogue planet are negligible at best. And even if they did find a rogue planet, it would be uninhabitable and it would be moving away from the solar system actively. You should just send probes to nearby stars and have them scan all the planets. That is the easiest way to find habitable worlds, especially if you have the technology to do so, which they clearly do. If the probe finds an inhabitable world, that's when you send in a Penrose vessel to go explore it and to settle down some roots. Just sending out a vessel with no real heading or destination in hopes of finding something randomly is beyond dumb. On top of that, why are they using time and resources to build these ships? The nation and the Empire are at war, and the Empire evidently has enough ships to blockade entire planets. Using time and resources to create suicide ships that go into the outer solar system instead of building up your navy to stop the blockade is certainly a choice. I can't stress this enough. A probe can do all the things that a Penrose vessel can do, and for cheaper, and they're smaller so you can send them out even faster. Save the vessels for when you find something actually worth going to. Otherwise, you're needlessly risking human lives and also risking that space lesbians accidentally become the God Emperor of Mankind. Because that's essentially what happens to Arianne. She's a being of immense power who is hooked up to a life support system against her will and now essentially lives forever in the limbo between life and death with her immense power unchecked. As I've said before, once the time loop starts, you're kinda screwed. Your best bet is to prevent all this. Because once there's a disease that kills people in a matter of hours, and also a Groundhog Day time loop on top of it, I do not know how you actively deal with that. Some of the replicas are aware they're in a time loop and they take active measures to stop it, and it never matters. The only active measure I can think of to try to avoid things is, since Arianne only affects areas that she has been in, maybe just at the start of a loop evacuate everyone out of Rotfront in every place she's ever been and hope for the best. That's it, that's all I got. And I don't even think that would work. And I don't even know if that would work, because the nation is so locked down that they probably don't even give people ships to be able to move freely between planets. So how do you survive Signalis? I have no clue. Just don't send people on suicide missions into space, and I guess if there's ever a girl with white hair, give her a wide berth, because she might have the power of God. That's honestly the best I got. The story is really confusing and everyone has different interpretations of what's actually happening, so maybe someone else's interpretation is more survivable. Our best bet might just be to deploy the evil intimidating horse in hopes it sorts it out. This will be the first thing to go on the wall of shame. Not shaming it, but shame for me, because this is the first property I've covered where I don't really know how to survive it. It will be on that wall forever, as a permanent reminder of my failure. I'm sure this is a one-time thing and that no future properties whatsoever will ever give me trouble. Foreshadowing is a literary device. That's it for this video. I'll see you around.